session for the EDC?
For the EDC.
What about moving the audit presentation before that?
Yeah, well, for sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
To move that to the top?
In fact, in the past, we've done the thing where we like suspend one meeting and, well, I guess we wouldn't even have to because the other ones don't have much.
Well, that's all they have is
Yeah,
the
that's all they
audit
have is the
presentation. She's gonna present remotely.
Oh, okay.
Need a side chair over, Josie.
Pull a chair up.
No, you're good. I did
You're
it
so
last
close to
week.
you in the camera.
No reason.
You want me to sign a check, right? Yes, please. Triple checking.
Just get over the hump here.
Yeah,
That's-
let me just slide
Here it
this
is,
over.
there it is, that's the one.
Just do it when we are live.
You good?
Are we live? All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll
Take two.
take two. Hold on for a couple seconds.
No, we are live. We don't have, actually, that's.
So we'll call the meeting to order for the Yates County Capital Resource Corporation. And we will start with our introduction of guests. We have Steve Meyer in the room, our attorney from Harris Beach. Thanks for being here, Steve. And I think we have joining us online Erica Handley from Drescher Malecki, our auditing firm, who is going to give a presentation for us here in a little bit.
Can you hear us all right, Erica?
Better on the mountain. Pretty good.
Son's favorite song. Why can we not hear her though?
Could be on her side of the mute.
All right, can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
perfect.
good. Thank you.
Great. Good morning.
All right, well, we're gonna just move along the agenda. It'll be real quick, and then we'll turn it over for the audit presentation. First is to ask if we need an executive session for this entity,
We do not.
and we do not. So we will move forward with the review and approval of our meeting minutes from December 18th. They were included in the packet. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the minutes? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved,
All right,
Janice.
thanks, Janice. In a second?
Second, Steve.
Steve, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's carried. Any changes for the agenda, Steve?
I believe so.
All right, then how about a finance report?
I had one check today, 108, for $1,500 to Drescher Malecki for audit.
Okay.
Maybe we should hear how the audit goes first.
That's a pending item. All right, then I'd ask for a motion to accept the finance report and approve paying that specific item.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jesse. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is carried. And without further ado, we'll turn it over for our action item today to Drescher Malecki. Are you ready for us, Erica?
And just to clarify, we're on Capital Resource
That's
Corporation,
correct.
right? Okay, perfect. Would you like me to share my screen, or does everyone have presentations in front of them?
If you can share it easy enough, that probably is best.
Perfect. Yep.
Turn lights off. Easy.
Let me do that.
Yeah, that works.
Did that work? Can you see it?
Yep.
Sure did.
Okay, perfect. Great. Well, similar to prior years, I will go through each of the entities and present on the results of the December 31st, 2024 audit. Hang on here. Is this working? Okay. Are you seeing my whole screen? It's hard to tell from my angle. Are you seeing my whole screen or?
We have the slides on the slides on the left, and then whatever slide you're on is the bigger side of it, but it's not a full.
Okay.
It's not presentation mode.
It should work.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, perfect. So I will lead you through this presentation and present the results of the audit. Again, my name is Erica Handley, Director with Drescher and FLEDC. One second here, sorry. My display. I'm sorry, I think I haven't done this enough in the past many years. Okay, on to this first slide. What are the products of our audit? First and foremost, we are hired to prepare basic financial statements on behalf of the corporation. The basic financial statements are really the results of your audit, presents your equity position and your results for the year ended December 31st, 2024. The only thing that we take ownership over in the presentation, in the financial statements, is the opinion on pages 1 through 3 of the financial statements. The rest of the information comes directly from management, and we are providing an opinion on that information. The second potential product of our audit is a management letter. This is an opportunity for us to provide certain best practices and housekeeping recommendations with the corporation. There is no management letter this year, so nothing to recommend as far as findings, no best practices, everything looked to be in order. And then we also issue every year what's referred to as an auditor communication letter. This is a formal communication letter that you will receive every year. It has a standard set of language in it that we are required to communicate with management and governance. This auditor communication letter outlines what our responsibility is under generally accepted auditing standards, which is to plan and perform an audit to obtain reasonable assurance over the financial statements so that the users can rely on the financial statements. Within the auditor communication letter, we also present significant accounting policies. Those are included in the financial statements in footnote 1. Really, for your information, this year there have been no significant changes in accounting policies. So if you're comparing last year's financial statements to this year's, they are comparable. Significant accounting estimates. Occasionally, financial statements do include certain estimates. We have a responsibility to evaluate the inputs of those estimates. These financial statements did not contain any estimates, so nothing to consider there. Independence. We are independent of the corporation. Everyone in our office, everyone who works on the audit is independent. That's probably the most important thing that you're looking for an external audit, and we have checked those boxes there. And then other matters. Had there been any disagreements with management, had we not been given access to the books and records, we would communicate those there. There were no issues with any of that. We had full cooperation of everyone that we came in contact with. We received documentation that we requested for all of the items that we tested in our audit. And then again, our auditor's opinion. As I mentioned, our responsibility is to provide an opinion on the financial statements. Financial statements at this point are in draft form, but we intend to move forward with what is referred to as an unmodified opinion. That is the best that you can do from an audit perspective. And those financial statements will be issued by March 31st in accordance with the Paris filing requirements. And then our opinions, as I mentioned, that unmodified opinion on the financial statements, so no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies. So it's the best that you can do from an audit perspective. And then financial statement highlights. Let me just pull up the financial statements so you can see these pages. There's a statement of net position, which is your balance sheet, statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in that position, and statements of cash flows. On the statement of, one more time, let me find that. Sorry about this. There we go. These are your financial statements that are currently in draft form for Capital Resource Corporation. As I mentioned, the statement of net position. This presents your equity position at December 31st, 2024. Your total ending unrestricted net position amounted to $64,588. This all represents assets, and primarily that note receivable that's outstanding at December 31st of $63,000. No outstanding liabilities at December 31st. Moving on to your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. This is your income statement and shows all the activity for the year ending December 31st, 2024. Again, not too much activity in this entity with the exception of normal operations. And as a result of those normal operations, change in net position decreased by about $2,000. And then on the statements of cash flows, these are probably more important to look at in some cases just to see where the cash is moving throughout the year because there is not that much activity. Overall cash decreased by about $40,000, and that was primarily due to the issuance of that note in excess of the collection of last year's note receivable of $25,000. If there are any questions, I can answer those now. Good.
I think we're,
Yeah, I think we're, does anybody have any questions on this one? It's a pretty small slice of what we're looking at today.
Okay, great.
Do you have anything else for us?
Nope, not here. I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
So we are not meeting again before the end of the month. These are in draft form, and so I know we usually ask for a motion to approve them or accept the financial statements and I think if there were any significant changes, we would
Right.
ask management to let us know before the end of the month, before the filing, but I'm certainly comfortable with the board accepting these and pleased to see there's no management letter or recommendations for changes, so.
Yes, definitely. Yep, and if there, like you said, if there are any changes, they're still in concurring reviews, so they go through another partner at the firm to review them, just for an additional level. If there are any changes as a result of that review, we'll let the group know.
Okay. Yeah, good. With that, I would ask for a motion to accept and approve these financial statements for the CRC.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Jesse. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Janice?
Janice. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. And that concludes our action items for today. We'll have the next meeting for this will be on an as-needed basis, so we will stay tuned on that. And I would ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved. Oops, sorry.
That's
Steve,
right. Second.
Janice,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We are adjourned. And we will call to order the meeting for the Finger Lakes Horizon Economic Development Corporation. And we have our same guests with us. We do not need an executive session for this entity either. And so we'll move on to the minutes from our December meeting, and they're included in the packet. I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes. Thank you, Marisa. Is there a second? Jared? Okay, any further discussion or suggestions for changes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's carried. I don't think we have any changes here. So Doreen, do you have a finance report for us?
Yep, I have two checks today, $384 and $385, totaling $12,000.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. And then the consolidated financial statements we'll talk about at the next meeting. They're not included for this separate meeting. So I guess with that, I'd ask for a motion to accept Doreen's finance report and approve paying those specific checks.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Steve. Second, Janice. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, That's carried. All right, we'll turn it back over to you for the audit presentation.
Okay. Can you see the presentation there?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I will take you then through the Finger Lakes Horizon Economic Development Corporation results of the December 31st, 2024 audit. As mentioned before, products of our audit, we are hired first and foremost to provide an opinion on the basic financial statements. Information within the basic financial statements comes directly from management. We receive that information, prepare a series of tests over it, and then provide our opinion on the financial statements. So all the information in the financial statements does come directly from management. Occasionally we will issue a management letter which will have those best practices or housekeeping items in them. There is no management letter being issued for December 31st, 2024, so no issues there. The auditor communication letter also includes significant accounting policies. For your information and for purposes of this communication, there were no changes in significant accounting policies from the prior year, so the information is comparable. Significant accounting estimates. Occasionally financial statements do include estimates. The information, the estimate within these financial statements is the allowance for doubtful accounts. That is considered to be a significant estimate, so kind of evaluating which of your receivable balances may not be collected and establishing an allowance for them. We have those communications every year with Doreen over which receivables may or may not be collected, and that estimate exists within these financial statements, and we have concluded that it is reasonable. Independence, everyone in our firm, everyone who works on the audit is independent in fact and appearance. And then other matters, had there been any disagreements with management, had there been any information that we did not receive or were asked not to look at, we would communicate that with you. Nothing of that sort. We had full access to all the books and records that we requested, and full access to all of the information required to provide that opinion on the financial statements. Our opinion, as I mentioned, is the only thing within the financial statements that we take ownership over. That is, financial statements are in draft form, but the opinion we intend to move forward with is an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion, meaning those financial statements can be relied upon by outside users. Financial statements do not include any material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, no reportable findings. And then moving on to some of the financial information. Taking a look at the statement of net position at December 31st, 2024. Total net position at year end amounted to just over $2.7 million, all comprised of assets, current and non-current. There are no outstanding liabilities at December 31st, 2024. On the income statement side, total net position did increase from the prior year by about $101,000. You'll note there was that decrease in the bond service fee. That's primarily the Empire Pipeline revenue drop off, but there was an increase in grant revenue from New York State Community Renewal, the Main Street grant, so that made up for some of the difference. And then on the expense side of things, you can also see the decrease in contractual services related to the distribution of some of the Empire Pipeline revenue. So that notable change from 23-24 did have an impact on the financial statements, but it was partially offset by the grant revenue that was received. And then the last financial statement is the statement of cash flows. You'll see here the net increase in cash and cash equivalents in 2024 was $243,000. That's primarily a result of a higher collection of outstanding notes in the current year compared to the prior year, as well as a slight decrease in the issuance of notes. So that change really accounts for the increase in cash and cash equivalents at December 31st, 2024. Any questions here?
The only comment I'll give the board is that, is a reminder that this organization has been funded primarily by that Empire Pipeline host benefit agreement that we had with them, and that's expired now. So there's still obviously quite a bit of capital in there that we continue to do lending and such with, but we're through their annual contribution with that. So the financials will look different depending on any grant activity we have going forward than it has for quite a while.
Great. And similarly, these are in draft form, so if there are any significant changes, I will let the group know.
Okay. Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Erica? Okay. Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve these draft financials. Yeah, if there are any significant changes, it'll be communicated to us.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jesse. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jared. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it is carried. So then, that concludes our agenda for this entity, and it'll meet on an as-needed basis going forward. Ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second, Janice.
James? Adjourn. With that, we will call to order the Finger Lakes EDC meeting here. And we have our same guests. We're going to table the executive session for right now. And actually, if it's all right with you guys, then move the audit presentation right to the top of the agenda so Erica could do that for us without sitting through the remainder of our meeting. So if that's okay with you, Erica, I'd like to turn it over and have you
Works for me.
take us through your presentation.
Great. Okay. All right. I will present now the results of the December 31st, 2024 audit for the Industrial Development Agency / EDC. The products of our audit, the basic financial statements contain all of the financial information as of and for the year ended December 31st, 2024. All of that information comes directly from management, receive trial balances, and then we prepare the financial statements on behalf of the agency. Occasionally we will issue a management letter, which is something that we did issue in the previous year. Just as a reminder, we had a comment in that management letter last year about taking a closer look at the loans between the loan software and the general ledger and making sure that those balances tied. We did see significant improvements this year, so we will not be issuing a management letter for December 31st, 2024, but do just recommend that practice of reconciling that information back and forth continue. I think sometimes in the past, perhaps the activity was reported kind of in the loan software separately, and then maybe it didn't get updated in the general ledger, but we really didn't see that being an issue at all this year. So no other items in the management letter, no other best practices or recommendations. So we will not be issuing a management letter for December 31st, 2024.
Great.
And then the last item that we have as a product is our auditor communication letter. This letter outlines certain items that are standard. You'll hear it every year from us, what is included in here. Our responsibility as your auditors under generally accepted auditing standards is to provide a test over the financial statements and then provide an opinion on the financial statements so that users can reasonably rely upon the information within the financial statements. We don't test 100% of the transactions, so we'll never say they're perfect or totally accurate. We do provide that reasonable assurance over the financial statements. Significant accounting policies, those are included in footnote 1 to the financial statements. No changes in significant accounting policies from the prior year, so pretty standard if you're looking at the financial statements last year to this year, they're comparable. And then significant accounting estimates. Occasionally the financial statements do have estimates within them. The IDA's financial statements do have 2 separate estimates within them this year. That's similar to last year. There's a liability for compensated absences. So that is your employee leave and vacation time. That is an estimated amount. And the other estimated liability this year is New York State pension liability. That information comes directly from New York State. That pension system gets audited, and then you're provided with the liability. On the compensated absences side, that comes up based on certain leave accruals. We take a look at employment agreements and evaluate those estimates and have determined that they are reasonable. Independence is probably the most important thing that plays into an external audit. Everyone in our firm, everyone who worked on the audit is independent. And then other matters, had we had any disagreements with management or we were limited as to what we were allowed to look at, we would communicate those with you. We had full access to the books and records. We asked Green for a lot of information, and we get all of that information that we've asked for, so we appreciate the help. Our opinion, these financial statements are in draft form, but we anticipate moving forward with an unmodified or clean opinion. There were no significant deficiencies, no material weaknesses, no reportable findings. So all of the things that you're looking for, you're able to check those boxes of a clean audit. And then moving on to some of the financial statement highlights. I'll pull up the draft financial statements here. There's a lot of numbers on here. This statement definitely has more activity in it. This is the statement of net position for 2024 and 2023. You can see here all of the assets at the top section. Deferred outflows and inflows of resources are sort of just another term for assets and liabilities that has come into play in the last several years. You have certain liabilities, and all of that amounts to the bottom section, your net position. Total net position at December 31st, 2024 came to about $9,200,000 compared to last year where it was just under $9 million. The next page is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, or your income statement. The third line from the bottom there, your change in net position. Total change in net position amounted to $273,000, an increase in December 31st, 2024. And then lastly, the statement of cash flows. There it was an overall increase in cash and cash equivalents during the year ended December 31st, 2024. That increase was about $283,000. Last year there was, if you recall, there was a decrease in cash equivalents. That was mostly because this actually considers true cash. And last year some of the cash moved over into CDs. So there was like a decrease in cash because of that purchase of CDs. So this year, more of a expected increase in cash and cash equivalents, $283,000. That's related a lot to just how much goes out and how much is collected on those notes receivable. This year, there was a higher collection in notes receivable. About $775,000 was collected on the notes versus the issuance of notes of about $804,000. That was just a little bit of a more favorable, I guess you'll say, in terms of this cash flow statement that resulted in the increase in cash and cash equivalents. And that's all. This is my contact information on this slide here. If there are any questions now, I'm happy to answer, but if there are any questions at all throughout the year, this is my contact information, or Doreen has, and I'm happy to answer those now or, at any point that you may have questions.
Erica, could you go back up to the revenue
Sure.
slide? I think it's a couple pages up. I just want to ask a clarifying question, and maybe you guys
Sure.
know this. The categories are a little different than what we see in the normal P&L, but the program income, I think, is primarily interest income.
Let me just
On the
open
loans.
that up so I got it for sure. One second.
she's looking it up. You know, the grant revenue is gonna fluctuate. Those are kind of spot hits when we are able to get them, the bond service fees, or when we do our straight leaseback transactions, and had a number of solar projects last year. So that fluctuates a fair amount, but one thing I really wanted to draw to everybody's attention, that increase in the rental here, that's $50,000 increase in the rents. That's our primary source of sustainability here, and the management team did a really nice job increasing rents and keeping the place occupied. And, you know, we're making a lot of improvements. It's an old facility, so that's going to be an ongoing thing, but that's an important thing to do because it does kind of feed the organization and sustains itself. So, nice job, you guys.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt. That program income, yes, that's primarily loan interest. There's some penalties in there, application fees, management fees, lease back fees.
Okay, so the application fees for all those would be in there too. Okay.
Yeah.
So is the rent in there?
No.
No,
Rent's
the rent is the,
Rental
there's,
growth.
Second line
Up
down.
top, yeah, okay. How much space is available?
Well, right now, very little, like 2
Yeah, I have like 2
offices.
small offices.
Nice.
But there's some that we have a couple discussions with some tenants that will have some space opening up, I believe.
yeah, no, it just obviously it was a successful year financially, but I think the program impact in the community was strong as well. So it's meaningful work being done, and you guys are doing a nice job. And on the audit, you never hear auditors talking about how management cooperates and there's no issues, and you have free access to information. That makes this process go a lot smoother. So
Definitely. It's a quick turnaround. We are, I think, it pretty much like middle of February, so a month turnaround to do these. So the communication, the cooperation is essential. So we appreciate all the help that we get.
yeah, so thank you, Doreen. I know it's a lot on your plate, but Steve and Mike for helping get information too, and you guys do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Well done.
Great.
Erica, do you have anything else for us? On the-
No, that's all. I'll keep you updated as we progress through the final issuance, but nothing else right now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you. Nice
Thank
working
you,
with
Erica.
you all again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erica.
Hi, Erica.
So with that,
Just to confirm, we have information, we have to get in the New York State ABO, the Paris information, generate those reports, send them to Drescher Malecki, and they have to attach them with the financial statements before they can go back to New York State to be certified. So there's still a little bit of work left to do,
okay,
but
has
we're
to be
close.
Done by the 31st.
31st, yep.
maybe when you guys are going through the management report, could you touch on just what the Paris reporting is?
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
and that's a big undertaking this month, especially. But, so with that, let's ask for a motion to approve these financial statements that are currently in draft form, and if there are any significant changes, it'll be communicated to us. I would ask for that motion.
So moved. Steve?
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second, Janice.
Thank you, Janice. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. We'll go back to the top then of the agenda, and first item up would be an executive session if needed.
It is needed to discuss company financials as well as our ongoing legal proceedings, I guess, with Town of Milo.
Okay, ask for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Jesse, is there a second?
Second.
All right. And we are in executive session. We'll
extension.
Oh, all right.
Somebody else is gonna have to suffer.
I didn't have to rapid fire?
Sorry, I wanted to tell you earlier, but Steve was really into the Alex Keeney conversation.
Okay. We are out of. Not yet.
I wish you'd sent Jared over with that news this morning. He's
We're
so
not
fired
live.
up there that.
We're not live.
I don't think we are.
Okay.
We are getting live.
We're
All right.
We're live now. Okay. I would ask for a motion to exit executive session and re-enter open session.
I'll make that.
Thank you, Jesse. Is there a second?
Second, Janice.
Janice, thank you very much. We're gonna move, well, let's review the minutes real quick. We have our minutes here from our February 26th meeting, included here in the packet for everyone. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes? Ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Jared, and a second.
Second, Janice.
Janice, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, so changes in the agenda. We are gonna pull the loan request for Weaverview Farms up next, and then we'll.
CD renewal.
And the CD renewal we'll do next. The loan request can stay down
Okay.
there, but we'll do the CD renewal next, and then we'll continue on with our regular agenda. So with that, I'll turn it over to Steve and or Doreen for the CD renewal.
Go ahead.
We had a CD expire, come up for renewal. It is currently at Lions Bank. You see it was handed out in the financials. Doreen also provided what it was last time we approved it, so it has, rates have dropped. My recommendation would be, I guess, take it up to see what the board thinks, but to go with either 6 or 9 months at Lions National Bank, depending if we think rates are gonna continue to drop or remain or go up. If we think they might go up, I'd say we go 6 months. If we think it's more likely that they were gonna stay the same or decrease, then go 9 months. I don't have a good,
Who's got that crystal ball?
yeah, I don't know. I don't think it matters that much, clear it's 3 months, so,
Yeah.
I guess I'll get to it. I'll make a motion. We do 6 months.
okay.
I'll second that motion.
That's what I had circled, so good job.
I'm gonna abstain from the vote and the discussion.
So we'll go 6 months, 4.25% at Lions National Bank.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then any abstentions? And I am an abstention. Okay,
So 83 points.
we don't need you for anything else?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Yeah, good to see everyone. It's just,
Yeah, just keep it.
Change lives, one student at a time.
do my best.
All right, so we'll move on our agenda to the finance report. Doreen, do you have anything you want to share for us?
I have check number 6818 to 6839 and E227. I think that's right. Yep, E227 to E233, and totaling $73,083.96. And then check number 67 along with a service charge totaling $265.
Have a good day.
From the
Bye,
egg.
Janice.
See you.
From the egg loan. And I don't know if anybody's got any questions on the financials that went out last week. We had a good month, but then we'd received additional straight leaseback fees for a couple of the solar projects.
I think we mentioned last month that they'd show up this month.
In March, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on that, not to panic. The net income there at the end of February is minus $29,000, but a lot of that is to do with timing and things, how they flow through, so. Assuming not any cause to panic. Does anybody have any questions on any of the other presented financials, or the loan capitalization reports or anything? All financial out after the audit presentations? Okay. If there are no further questions, then I'd ask for a motion to approve the finance report and paying those specific checks.
I'm sorry, just,
Yeah,
I'm
good.
curious how that negative 29,000 is covered. Do you have a line of credit or?
We just, money market,
Okay,
Yeah,
just transfer funds over.
gotcha.
good question.
Part of that was a big check to Harris Beach. Who deserves it, by the way?
You're welcome.
Me, I'm not handling
Yeah.
it. Don't blame me.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, can I have a motion then to approve the finance report and approve paying those specific checks?
So moved, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second? Thank you, Jared. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, it's carried. On the management reports, who wants to start us off?
I don't have anything, so what?
Real quick, the beginning of March was the wing walk. It was, again, another super successful event. Liberty won it for the third time in 4 years, so quickly, apparently have the best wings in town. My favorite part about the whole event, year after year, it impresses me that there was 500 tickets sold, about, I think, 490 showed up. Everyone attended, and then I think it was 415 actually cast a vote for their favorite wing.
Wow.
So upwards of 85% of attendees actually voted. When we started, it was always like, if we got 50% of the vote, that's great, right? It's more just an activity, get people out, support the businesses in the winter months. So it was great again. I'll real quickly touch on the Paris reporting. As Ryan asked. So all our straight leaseback projects, we have to collect pilot payment information as well as payroll hours, construction hours for projects that are still ongoing. So we've got 40, I think it's close to 40 active pilots right now. So collecting all that data, as well as all the loans for Finger Lakes Horizon Corporation. We need to collect employment numbers for those as well. So there's about 15 there. So we're about at 100% of data received. Now it's just getting it into the state reporting system over the next couple days so that we meet our March 31st deadline. So the next two and a half days, today, Thursday, Friday, we'll be focused on pretty much that. Maurice, I will ask you, we oversight on my part, Frost Lines, they don't have the pilot information yet because of the project the pilots don't kick in until next year.
Right.
But I do still need payroll information.
Okay.
I emailed Oscar and I have not heard
Yeah,
back
Oscar
from
would
him.
not be the one.
Okay.
So it was just to Oscar?
I think so.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll shoot you an email.
That'd be great. Thank
just
you.
to get that, but I figured that would be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're in pretty good shape.
So Stan, was it public accountability reporting information system? That would be
Public authority reporting information system, I think,
Yeah, so it's kind of the check and balance on what's going on, and the things that are getting approved at all these local levels are actually having a public benefit. It's a pretty seriously monitored thing, and it's a
Yeah.
big undertaking for the staff to
yeah. If
to
we
do it.
don't
And-
get the information in, if an IDA doesn't submit the information, the state has the ability to come in and shut down the IDA.
Got it.
So it's a ton of effort, so it's not.
I will add that Mike took charge of collecting all the information and pretty much all of the I think I called one person for him. He did all the follow-up to collect that, so that was a huge undertaking.
Yeah, just calling that out, that it's an important thing for the organization, but it's a big undertaking, and the staff, and Mike, great job
Thank you.
working on that.
They both, between Dorian on the audit, Mike on the data collection, have done phenomenal. And the end of it, although it is not an easy effort and unbelievably time consuming to get into the state system, it does report out now, it's factual data that we can use, and it's, in our case, we get to use it to our benefit because the job numbers, the net increase in jobs over what was originally projected are way past what inclination way past what we're initially projected, and it lets us tell, here's how much was actually spent in, paid out by companies in pilot payments. So, and the public generally thinks companies aren't paying anything. We can say, well, no, here it is, they paid over whatever the number is. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it does provide pretty good data for us at the end.
When will we get that info? From the
We'll have
state?
it by March 31st.
So the state would actually spit out a report on that day?
Well, as soon as it goes in, yeah. The controller comes out and makes a report every year based off once they tally it all up, and they usually come back and almost within 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month, we'll get almost without fail, we'll get questions back from the state controller's office questioning us on any big movements. I mean, it can be job numbers going up a lot or down a lot. They're going to question it just to see if it's reported correctly, that sort of thing. So they go through that with everybody. Then they put out it's usually a year or two trailing. So I think he actually just did it a month ago or so for 2023, I believe it was.
I'm just trying to think if that report would be nice to communicate that.
So there's two things.
Our
We
annual
have,
meeting.
and we will. There's the controller does it. He's 2023, and generally speaking, he's favorable towards IDAs. He sees the positive impact they play. The state EDC also does an annual report through Camoin Associates that shows what the total impacts are of these benefits, and that one's usually 1 year trailing. So it's
And it's broken down by county, right? I'm assuming.
I think so. Yeah, Camoin does. Yeah, in both reports. Yes,
Yeah.
They generally report out in total, but yeah,
Right.
then you can go in and see the individual
Okay.
counties. Yeah, the controller breaks it down like per, what's the cost per resident kind of thing in each county.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, per job created. That's what it is, not per resident.
Good. Thank you. That's it for me.
Did the first part, which is how much effort these two have done. Only other two things I presented, just because it was really, really well done. Yesterday, Penn Academy had a career fair, and I led off. I did the initial presentation in front of the high school and all the students and the staff. I gave them a little bit, part motivation, part here's what your opportunities are. I'll bring up just some of the facts because they're daunting, they're scary, quite honestly. It's a world of opportunity for the students if they want to take advantage of it, but as of 2023, in about the last 10 or 15 years, Yates County lost 1,500 more people from the workforce between the ages of 25 and 54, and 2,000 people overall. It puts us down to around 5,800 people in that 25 to 54 age bracket, which is the Department of Labor calls prime working ages, right? So 5,800 is a pretty small number. We've added 100 new businesses in that time. That doesn't count the businesses that are expanding while we're here. And then through Jobs EQ, which we belong to, I plugged in, I'm just trying to get a look at what job forecasts might be, and not even talking that we know some of our businesses want to expand. Basically just in replacements, it's saying that we'll need 820, there'll be 820 job openings in the next 12 months in Yates County, and 4,000, a little over 4,000 in the next 60 months, 5 years. When we only had 5,800 at prime, and most of those are starting to get towards the end of that, higher age of that range, not the lower. In the greater Finger Lakes region, it's 12,000 job openings in the next 12 months and 60,000. And that's actually Yates County and the counties that surround us. So pretty big numbers that we're looking at that we're gonna have to fill somehow or some way. The fun part of it was right after it, the students then went off and they had some trades and some manufacturers down in the tech area, but then they had 36, I believe, businesses set up in the gymnasium, and it was packed with students. and they were going around, they were engaging with the businesses were thrilled. Scott Chapel and the guys that set this thing up were just standing there, eyes wide open. I'm like, oh my gosh, you killed it. He's like, well, I don't know what happened. Like, it was really, really well done. The businesses that I got a chance to go around and spoke to were all really happy. I mentioned that Burnt Rose Wine Bar was there, and I bet they had 14 different student names listed, written down. They're looking for help. They might want to work over the summer. So really, really well done.
Does the college do something similar? They must have a career fair, right?
So they're having career week. I had calls from both Scott Chapel and Aaron Brewer from the college. Both wanted their career fairs to be yesterday. And so both asked if I could help get businesses for them on that same day. Aaron flexed and sort of drew it out for a week-long sort of celebration at the college. Some of them have been successful, others haven't. It's different. Students at high school you got them. They're contained. The college, they're trying to hit it in between classes. They're not there, right? They're at their dorms or they live off campus or whatever. So it's a much harder task to get the college students engaged, and that's not even a QCA issue. It's you can talk to the businesses that try to do these career fairs, and it's hard to get for whatever reason, hard to get students to go to job fairs, which is why I think most of the reason you go. But
That is interesting, because we go to career fairs annually,
Yep.
and it's usually well attended. Now, granted, it's in the STEM arena,
well,
engineering.
but even in like some of them, I know just with my two kids, certain schools do it I think better than others. But in both my kids' cases, they're struggling to get to it in time, because a lot of times professors, like, it might only be a 2 or 4 hour window once you're there. If you're in athletics or some other sport, you have practices or you're not even there because you're away, so it becomes a little bit challenging. That's one of the things I'm going to take back to QCA with Aaron and say, hey, maybe we look at, like, this is what students are there for. Let's block off the full day. Like,
Yes.
Classes are canceled.
Oh.
We need you to attend this. Have a kickoff presenter, speaker, whatever it is, and kind of follow a format
Yeah.
that
The career fairs I attend or have our firm attend are full days,
Yeah.
and they go into early evening for that reason, to try to attract.
Typically a lunch,
Yeah.
the ones that were part of it's a full day and it's pretty
Yeah.
big to do.
Yeah.
And then we get stuck by the FBI and no one comes and sees us.
Yeah.
There's a line
Yeah.
a mile long for people that can throw a badge on. And FB, it's not in our cards.
Yeah, so I think
You could wear a badge.
there are some things that need
I'll make you
they're
one.
trying.
Sure,
They're
okay,
trying.
as long as they're trying.
They are. We just gotta get it tweaked and get some buy-in.
So
I think.
that's the audience that will, if they're looking for a job.
They need full college buy-in, and that doesn't mean like from admin. It means including the professors to understand, hey, you're gonna lose a day of instruction,
Or a half
you're gonna,
day or something. Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Or a Saturday morning or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And then you gotta get the kids, they gotta wanna come too. Like,
We've seen the numbers, they dropped off big time during COVID, but they're starting to climb back
Yep.
up to pre-COVID numbers now for the career fairs that we're doing. So.
Yep.
Was there like a good representation of ag in our community at the career fair?
I have to go back and see who the college ended up getting for that. I don't know.
I wondered just from the high school perspective, from the academy perspective, if you don't grow up in ag, you don't see the future in it.
Yep.
And there's a lot of automation coming and drone work that could be done that we are missing out on. And if you don't hit them in college, they're not going to focus on it later. Like by the time you get them to college, it's actually a little too late because they've determined a very different path. It's hard because it's all wine related too,
Yeah.
like a lot of the ag in the area, but I didn't know if there was a more age appropriate way to present it for the academy, because that would be helpful for the
Open
ag
to-
industry.
Open to hearing it. There's 1,300 annual job openings now in ag and food
Yeah.
production.
She brought up and reminded me of a question that I had too in regards to that, all those numbers that you had spit out. Is that taking into consideration the Mennonite community as well? All the jobs, the numbers of any of that? Because
I never know how to, I don't know. I'm not sure how that gets reported. I think.
There's a large number there that could be misrepresented.
Assuming they're paying into state taxes and having their report on their quarterly
Yeah.
state forms, and yes, they're in there. And most of it, I think what they're looking at there is, in that, these are replacements, so most of those numbers are, probably 80% of them is people leaving the workforce, and the company's having to figure out how to replace them. There is some growth, there is some in those numbers, but a majority of it is just.
Retention,
Yeah,
It's
how do
still
you-
a problem.
Yeah,
regardless.
sure.
No, I was just curious
Yeah.
if that stuff was captured, if that community was captured in those numbers as well. I think the
I've
average
asked
for them
Department
would
of
be like,
Labor.
it would be not 25 to 55, it would be like 6 to 38.
I've asked the Department of Labor
So-
data rep, like, how do you account for the ag workers, specifically Mennonites and Amish and that sort of thing? And I was looking for Yates County, and she's like, honestly, we don't know how to treat Yates County. We have no idea. Like, she's like, kind
Fair.
of guessing. Like, that's so that was a number of years ago now. That was probably 10 years ago. But
Just curious.
the other thing I'll bring up is there's yet another bill through the state EDC that we're trying to fight, that's been put out, that there is a I don't know who his name, but there's or her name, some senator or assembly person, well, the bill's put forth, so it must be in both houses, that would prohibit IDAs from assisting e-commerce businesses, operations. The assumption is they're probably trying to go after Bitcoin mining and data server farms. Like Genesee County's got one that they just approved for $6.8 billion data farm. Data center. But the bill is put forth in such broad description that it doesn't specify what e-commerce is. So if any business right now, it could be argued, if you have a majority of your sales are online, you'd be considered an e-commerce business. So that would be an Amazon warehouse, couldn't receive incentives, or even like one of the examples is there's a Dick's Sporting Good warehouse that's trying to get built somewhere, and they're like, they do a lot of online. Would that not be allowed in? So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, e-commerce is like, why would you try to stop e-commerce expansion? Like, it makes, once again, this is what we're battling in the state.
Warehouses could employ 1,000 people.
Insane. It's the law. They don't know what they're doing.
Well, the other thing is the incentives and the things that the IDAs can approve are all based on capital improvement. So if you don't have real estate, if you're not having a mortgage or property taxes, you're not getting benefits, and sales taxes on physical things you're buying. And so if they're really a web-based system, the benefits aren't
Right.
there either.
And that was kind of the general response with the Genesee one, was the size of it.
Yes.
They call it hyperscale. So basically you have one end user. So it's not on these smaller data centers where you could have thousands of end users. Yeah, you have the risk of, Joe in his room doing, Bitcoin mining. But with this size, which was kind of the general response, we're like, it's not going to happen here. So, yeah, it's a little.
In almost every case, and I'm sure it's the case here too, there's probably some project in whatever this politician's area is that the public's against, or he or she's against, and instead of addressing it with their local IDA and talking it through, they're just like, we'll just try to legislate this thing out statewide. But once again, the PR nightmare for New York State again is, wait a minute, you're
That's just the Zoom meeting. We need that, so we're still live.
okay.
That did that.
The PR for New York State is going to be, once again, there's legislation out there trying to stop e-commerce, and there's already enough of the CLCPA plan, climate control plan. Like, the businesses are, it's a wild time, but so well, you know how that one goes.
Okay, you had two negatives that are positive to follow this up at the end?
Well, no, the first positive was the students were super engaged, highly engaged, like, that was,
Good.
I should have into that one.
Yeah,
Things
good.
went well.
Thank you, Steve.
Welcome.
All right. So we'll move on to our action item. We've pulled 2 off the slate already and done, so we have 1 left, and that is the loan request for Weaverview Farms. So I'll turn it over to Mike to frame that up for us.
Yep, so Weaverview Farms is seeking a $50,000 loan from the ID through the IDA to assist in increasing their pasture-raised beef operations. Loan proceeds would be used to create and install new fencing and a barn. Total project cost is $95,000. Projected to create 3 new full-time equivalent positions over the next 3 years. Collateral on the loan would be a mortgage on the property, UCC filing, and personal guarantee from Ken and Pauline Weaver. The loan review committee reviewed and recommended it for approval.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Does anybody have any questions for Mike on that before we move into a vote? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Recent.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is carried.
I did mean to bring up the status report just to publicly put out there. We have approved in the past, we already approved the scheduling of a public hearing for the Finger Lakes Rail pilot extension, but that approval was we would get back to you with what the terms were at the time. There's still some terms that had to be worked out. Just as a follow-up, those terms have been agreed to. It is another 10-year pilot that will be, the pilot itself will be put at 3.5% of freight revenues. So they have agreed to that. So we have public hearings scheduled already. So next Thursday, I
Yep.
believe. We have in each of the towns, so it's gonna be a full day of public hearings for us. We gotta have a public hearing at every single one of the towns that the rail goes through, so.
Yeah, and I believe the admin fee wise, it's the lesser of, I think, 5,000 a year or the.
Or their
1.25%
capital
of
investments,
capital
yes, that's a good
expenditures.
point, yes.
Okay.
Right, correct.
And then that gets trued up or confirmed based on audited financials.
The max, the higher of, not
Correct.
The higher,
Yeah,
the higher,
correct.
the higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the
Do you
follow-up
wanna
on
sign?
the Finger Lakes Rail pilot, or public hearing for the pilot.
Yeah,
Any-
so we'll hold the public hearing next week, and then we come back to the board for final approval and bring those comments to the board.
You just have to sign it before.
Do you think that'll happen for April?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have, I know it's not ready to schedule yet, but we talked about doing an annual meeting. Is that still the plan?
It's still a plan. I'm looking now, like clearly we didn't have it for this month. It was too much of a push, and I'm not where we'd like to have it. I simply don't think it might be big enough. So I will get notes out to you very shortly on, it'll be towards the end of April. It'll probably be more of a just a presentation. We won't have to have there'll be no formal action or anything at it.
Yeah, just the note on we used to do that every year, to get together, invite people in. It would be at a lot of times it's at a brewery, winery, bigger place, gathering spot, give a presentation on the successes of the organization and challenges to everybody that's there. And then there's a kind of a happy hour, a social hour with snacks and that kind of thing for people to interact and network. And it's a nice touch, a good way for us to put our stuff out there, what the organization accomplishes in the community. So COVID derailed that, and it's planned to come back.
It's on the to-do, it's just taking a back burner to everything else.
Yep, and understandably, that's those things are the priority, but that'll be good to do.
We'll get it, we'll have it.
Yep.
We'll have it good then.
Thank you.
All right, any other business to be discussed today? Our next scheduled meeting is April 16th. I don't think that, does that fall in the break week? Is that a challenge for any of
No,
you?
I think I can
Yeah, I
actually.
won't be able to make next
Yeah.
month.
I don't know, my status is up in the air. And we'll have
You're gonna have a new-
if it goes to term, well, we have a 6-day-old baby. What's that?
Bring them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'll have to get all this set up.
Pass 'em around.
Can't leave this to Steve, so. Thought it before.
I'll stumble my way through.
Okay, well, maybe a good idea to circulate an email to see,
Okay.
poll people's ability to be there that day, and if we need
Does
to.
anyone
we
else
can-
know that they can't be? Okay, there's two.
There's two, okay. We'll also have to change, I think, the May meeting too, because of the
That's Cooperstown.
Cooperstown Conference.
Third Wednesday works
Which
well.
is you three,
Yep.
so.
Okay, and four.
And me.
And Steve.
And Steve, okay, yep, that's right, you go to that too. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
so but
All right,
maybe
we'll
you can
get
have
some-
circulate an email to confirm, because Janice and Amy, if one of them can't be here, we need to reschedule that meeting too.
Okay.
Yeah, could be a pretty full
And
agenda.
it sounds like
Yeah.
there's gonna be stuff queued up, so we'll stay tuned on the meeting date for April. And with that, that's for motion to adjourn.
So,
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Yes, okay. We are adjourned.